So welcome everyone to my presentation. I hope you can hear, because I have no idea if you're hearing anything or not. Yes, so we're good. So before we can start, I have a little video so that we can...
Hello, my name is Peter Hilton. As the only native English speaker on the team, I would like to introduce this session with a warning. You may have difficulty understanding the speakers. That's why, to help you, we've prepared a crash course in French pronunciation. Let's practice. The LQ Cloud Platform database layer is simpler than Hibernate and EGB. Easy, right? Just follow the instructions on Nicolas' next slide and you'll be fine. Good luck.
So, before we can start, I think it's a good idea to repeat after me, so you can follow the presentation nicely, and we will avoid misunderstanding. So, the is the. Hibernate is Hibernate. Cloud is Cloud. Heroku is Heroku. The H doesn't exist, so I'm sorry, you can do whatever you want. I cannot pronounce it. Database is database. EGB is EGB. Okay, we can now start the presentation on a good base. I'm sure that your Franglish will improve after this presentation, even if you don't know anything about open source and how to organize your open source your company with open source principle. So the goal of the presentation is actually how open source principle could be applied within corporation. A lot of time corporations say, yeah, we do open source, but in fact, they're not organized to do open source. So to explain that, we'll go through the principle of open source that we chose for the company. And we'll try to see how to apply them to your own company. And for that, I will give the example of Lunatech. So I'm Nicolas Leroux. I'm an open source contributor for quite some time. I used to work on Play Framework. I don't know if you know. I did a lot of contribution on Java ecosystem, a bit less on the Eclipse one, even if Vertex. And I joined Lunatech in 2000. It was a small company of, I think, 14 people. And I arrived as an intern, and I bought Lunatech back in 2015. We now about 90 people, and I'm the CEO then at Lunatech. And the example will be about my company and how I structure the company to try to be as innovative and to embrace the open source principle. So it's a bit boring in the sense that I will talk a lot about Lunatech, but that's more case studies than anything else. This presentation started because I was talking with some people from Eclipse who are really interested in things we are running inside Lunatech. So let's try with definition of open source. I think you all know that. Open source software, source code that everyone can inspect, modify, and enhance. So it's all started like that. And it's basically, when you join an open source project, it's a community of people who share the same vision about creating. Usually, you want to create better software. You don't want to create crap software. That can happen, but that's usually not the goal. So the vision is really to try to contribute something so that your software is better, and you can put your own little code inside a bigger ecosystem. So for I selected, there is more values, but I selected a few values of open source. Open source is all about innovation, something else that people underestimate, but open source should be, to be successful, really accessible. If you join a project and you cannot contribute to the project, you will end up being alone on the project and doing your own project, but you will not create a community. So the notion of accessibility, and therefore after collaboration, when it's accessible, you have like more people joining, is really important. There's also this notion of transparency, which is basically every company that I know of is say we're transparent. In fact, it's really hard to to put in place, since if you put too much transparency, people are also becoming jealous, etc. Not in the open source world, but company-wise, it's a bit harder. And of course, open source is all about meritocracy. It's not because it's because you put all your effort and you deserve to be a core committer, for example, that you're becoming a core committer. It's a bit different in a normal company where you basically can be promoted because you're a really good friend with the boss, for example. And open source is all about efficiency. Why? Because most of us are working on open source project on our free time, which means that we don't want to lose time. We want to be as efficient as possible to contribute the best. We'll go on I went a bit too fast, but what I say. So what is innovation? Innovation is basically the idea, introduction of new good or service, something new that is coming and that will innovate in comparison to what is there. It's really important also to take into account that we never really start from scratch with innovation. We always take something that exists and improve on it. Usually that's the case. You can see a lot lately with AI, etc. That's not really new. It's just the GPU allows us to do more. But that's not a new concept. That concept that exists for quite some time now, but that can be really applied. Innovation is something that is part of open source. Why? Because you don't start from scratch, and usually when you join a project, something exists, or it's a merge, it's a branch from another project, etc. So open source is all about innovation, and how do you put this principle into your company? That's what we'll see after. Accessibility, like I say, it's really an important part that is a lot undervalued in the on the open source project. People say, hey, here is a thing, and figure out that's not really the best way to integrate new people, to have an open source project usually that is successful, is really accessible, which means that people can arrive in the project and contribute a lot. That's basically one of the key things that is really a lot underestimated. People want to produce code. Usually they don't want to produce documentation. I think that's a big mistake, because to scale your project, the project needs to be accessible. Collaboration with the nice, so that's, I say that because collaboration in French has a really bad connotation. However, it's an essential part of open source as well, on the project and any organization. You want to collaborate. You don't want to be alone and do everything. You want to share as much as possible the knowledge so that people can help you to contribute to it. That's not really easy to achieve as well, because everyone is unique. However, you need a common goal. It's what open source really provides usually, to collaborate on a project and to have people working all together. And of course, you all know that open source is all about transparency. Most of open source projects also make their decision public, which means you can easily see what is going on and why a decision was taken. That's basically the really important. So you want to be able to audit basically what happened, to say, oh, okay, we're going there. Oh, yes, that makes sense. Or no, it doesn't make sense, but I know why, at least. So it's all about this notion of transparency. And a good one, which is really hard to do if you want to apply this principle, is meritocracy. Open source project is basically, meritocracy can be seen several things. It's the one who works the most, or the one who does the most impactful contribution. In fact, it's all these people, and open source community usually recognize really well when people really contribution is really recognized. That's way harder in a company to recognize that. Most big company has a path for career that is after 2 years, if you do that, check that, you go ahead. Open source doesn't really have that. It's just naturally recognized between the organization that this guy is actually really good at core contributor are doing that. This one is that. And there is a natural hierarchy established in open source project based on meritocracy. And like I say, efficiency, so that's really an important part because most of us working on open source project, we value our time. We really want to contribute, but we don't want to spend too much time, so that we need to be as efficient as possible. That's something that is also really hard since on large corporations, efficiency is something really hard to achieve. We have a lot of meetings for not much. The output is usually not much. So you spend a lot of time on the input, giving you input, and the output is really reduced usually. So basically, what I described, what we want is to organize our company following this principle. So it's all about, innovation is all letting people free electron and innovate. Meritocracy is like letting them organize themselves, etc. So basically, how does that work? So it's a bit of organizing some chaos because you just take people together, you mix them, but you still need to organize something. Most open source projects have a benevolent dictator. It's basically always that. All the successful open source projects have a leader or a sort of dictator. Say, no, we go there. No, we do that. No, here, stop fighting. We will merge this and do that after. Even if there is a process of taking the input of everyone, so it's an open source project. So how do we do that in a company like Lunatech? That's the same principle. You need a dictator. Here, it's me. And you need to organize and to synchronize everyone, basically. That's a big thing. So in Lunatech, we have all the processes are really transparent. I will demonstrate that as well. We take the basically documentation really seriously. So documentation is something that should be really simple, transparent, and with the essential fact, because you need to maintain it as well. We have a really flat hierarchy. We don't have manager as well. So it's basically like the same thing. You have some people will jump and do tasks that others don't want, etc. And we try to put some explicit rule to conform to what we want is really to be recognized as good developers to conform to this. So that's the same principle of open source, basically, applied to a company. So that's what it's all about. So that's also allow you to do a sort of inversion of control. I don't know who does Java here or something like that. It was really fashion at the time. Say, no, we don't say which bin, we just inject, so we inverse the control. So the same idea, really. So instead of bottom-up management, we prefer to listen to signals and react on the signal to enable some people to do things. So the idea is like we have a lot of developers, and we hope that they're good developers, who have some ideas, and the idea is to create around that, to encourage them to create their own community. And we see that it's working more or less. So it's all about communication. We're about 19 Lunatech, so, and working on different projects. We're a service company. So we basically sell ourselves for some price, which kind of prostitute, basically, but for the brain. And the idea is like listen, because you have a lot of projects where people do the same, and how you put all these people together and make them interact. The same thing as an open source community. The problem is like it's several projects. You could do the same as Eclipse. There is so many Eclipse projects, and a lot of Eclipse projects are actually doing kind of the same. So the same thing, you need to synchronize people and build a sort of community that people can interact. After having said that, we are developers, so that's a bit easier than if we were, I don't know, in a factory, for example. I don't think you will work in a factory. So you need, basically, it's what every open source project has. So we have the same in our company. An open source governance, so for us it's not an open source governance, but it's a governance. But the same idea, really. We define how you interact with each other, and how you can interest people. So the first time you arrive at Lunatech, we use Confluence, which is not open source, but that's another question. It's just I really like it at the time. Wiki has documentation, so you have the same idea to onboard people to provide this accessibility as much as possible. So our information, it's also really important to state the vision and goals of the company, of etc. We also indicate that people should like any open source project, you don't tell someone, contributor, hey, please do that, and I want it tomorrow. Usually you're like, okay, there is this thing to be done, and you wait. That's the same idea, really. We say, hey, there is this and this, and some people usually pick up the task and try to do it well, and then ask the other, etc. So it's a bit the same. You need people who are really proactive. Like I say, it's not a factory mentality. When you go to work, you punch in and punch out. That doesn't really work. It also means that you have to trust people, and you really need to encourage them. It's build a trust relationship. Open source project is also about trust. You need to trust that this open source project will work. You need to, then you encourage to contribute more, etc. So like I say, it's responding and ownership. The big thing, the advantage we have is we are developers, so if some tools are missing, that's also, if some tools are missing, that's really easy for us to provide the tools. We IT people, and either we develop something or we integrate with something. That's, and sometimes a bit too much, because some people create tools that are not really relevant, and at the end, but that's also a good experience. At the end, it's just two people communicating are good enough. So that's, like I say, you can see an example for our wiki. So what you can see is you start, it's a bit smaller, but when you join Lunatech, what is all about Lunatech, like any open source project. How do you survive your first day in Lunatech, because that's usually how it starts. What is all about, we have some policies as well, because we like any organization, we need to comply to some policies, and especially about data policy, etc. We also, Lunatech is present in France and Netherlands, so there is some specificities per countries. And we try to explain everything. So that people, instead of onboarding with another colleague, can start reading and then after ask relevant questions. So the same idea to be efficient, and instead of having someone with someone else for a month, we have someone reading that, and after, when he doesn't understand something, can ask the relevant question. That's a lot of work as well, because everything needs to be maintained. So that's why you don't want to put too much. Same thing, you need the right balance, providing what's really the relevant information. That's another topic, but you can see that everything is there to help. Like any open source project, you start and you want to see how do I contribute. Here's the same idea. How do I enter the company, and how do I contribute to the company? Same idea exactly, and it's, so people say code is, that's a bit the problem with developers. They think that code is everything, but you can see that if you want to scale and create a community, there is way more than code. So one of the questions that's also common when I say, oh, but is open source communist? I heard it a lot, because especially in the US, etc. Yeah, but communist ID, we should avoid that. So is open source communist? If you look on Google and Google a bit about that, or ask ChatGPT, you have a bit of different answers. Some people think it's, yeah, there is a lot of communist ID, especially with GPL license, things like that, where everything should be shared and contaminate the other one. And some others say, well, that's really the communal aspect with more than really communist. And that's, so depending on the software license, you can say, yeah, it's a communist idea or not. That's a large topic that we can debate for quite some time. But what I would like to remind people is that's why we're still a company. So basically, the big difference between open source contributors, they do that for free. Lunatech employees do not do that for free. I need to pay them, I need to pay tax, etc. So that's Lunatech still need to make money. So that's where it's a bit like there is some shortcut where sometimes open source projects usually are coming from an ID, and you want to achieve this ID. We, as a company, have more constraints. We cannot say, you know what, for the next 6 months, you just contribute to the open source project because you like it. We still need to pay salaries, etc. So we have to adapt this open source principle to run a business. And so we focus really on efficiency and the same idea of having really proactive individuals. I'm a bit thirsty now. Yes, you don't see that, but there is a clock, and it's stressing me out like crazy. Okay, so basically, how do we take open source principle? That's the second part of this thing. So I will give you all the secrets. So you can organize your company and run as like it was an open source project or multiple open source projects as well. That's what we try to do. And we're a corporate environment, so we have regulation to comply, etc., etc. Something to keep in mind, I didn't tell you, but no, I did tell you I was a developer, I'm still a developer. Lunatech is a company where I think 92% of the people are developers. We have a super low overhead. We basically have these two girls here doing a bit of marketing, internal project, also project management. And after, we have one office manager and one guy who is taking care of the client. We don't have salespeople at all as well, so it's something we'll see. So that's a bit unique. So the same thing is like open source projects do not have salespeople. They have Microsoft instead, but that's the same idea. So I try to put every corporate segment and to say how we manage that, basically. So like I say, HRM, so human resource management, we have really light management. Till recently, performance review, which is an important subject for every developers, we were actually waiting, so this proactive, that the employee was asking for them and review with someone else how he was doing by him. We changed a bit because no one was coming, so and legally you need to basically have something. But the idea is the same, is we're not here to judge you, you should be able to judge yourself. Like any open source project, same thing, you don't have someone who say, except the dictator of the project, you don't have someone who say, hey, you know what, you're doing bad, you need to contribute twice as much ticket. That's a bit stupid on an open source project. Because you want people to contribute the best, so you will not stress them. So it's a bit the same idea. We try to, and that's a really difficult thing, to take meritocracy into this review with people who are contributing more, etc. Same idea as open source. That's difficult because sometimes it's not super visible. That's a bit the thing, especially this way, we'll see after, but it cannot scale indefinitely this. Recruitment is also done by Lunatech people, so other developers. So the same thing as the open source community, you want to hire your peers, you want to work with someone. You don't want to hire because this person has a fantastic CV, you just want to hire because this person might learn really fast. Open source project is all about learning, you're learning all the time. Same idea really. And we try to be as transparent as possible about everything. There is something, so I know some companies are doing it, putting the salary visible. We don't do it because I think you need to do that from the start, otherwise it's not possible. Salary is sensitive subject, especially that we also have Netherlands, France, so we have it's not the same. It's really hard to compare. You don't have the same advantage by country. You have different constraints, etc. So that's the limitation where we say, okay, we don't. The rest is pretty much open. What's the process? How does that work? We explain exactly how it works on our wiki. So to what we say we consider for salary raise, etc. Operation, so that's a difficult one. We have clients that we want to serve the best we can, and after we want to launch innovation. So the best, what we try to do is to help clients to innovate, but that doesn't really, sometimes when you're in a bank, innovation is really hard because it takes ages to innovate with them. So that we try to balance that, because any project is up and down, and to have like people to basically people contribute on the spare time of their clients on project, etc. We do quite a lot of contribution on Quarkus, for example, a lot historically on Scala. We were a big Scala users. Akka, etc. So you will see Lunatech did a lot of contribution, which is really nice, but it's really hard to structure that. Same thing, when I hear people, yes, this guy is full-time, yeah, is good, but we're a company as well, and we cannot dedicate too much time on open source alone. Lately, we contribute quite a lot on, well, we try to contribute on SDV, Eclipse SDV, etc. We also try to have people who to arrange things, because you don't want the service company. So to try to rotate people so that they see new things, etc. Like an open source project, usually you start somewhere, but it's nice if you see something else, or you can go to another open source project, etc. Yeah, tooling, you're all about that. Collaboration, we try to do as much as we can. We have really we don't have many meetings. We do everything online, like you will do on any open source project. You meet people to have a coffee or a beer, but you don't meet to have a meeting, basically. Some developers don't like that anyway, and I think it's a good thing. But we collaborate quite a lot. Slack is used like crazy. We use Slack, but can use anything else. Transparency, every meetings, we publish meeting notes. It's a bit also strange when because I'm a lot with clients as well. I have a lot of clients that do meetings. They arrive, what do we talk about? They forgot. They do a meeting, usually 1 hour. They talk about things, there is no meeting note. Which means the next meeting, they repeat what they did for half an hour, the previous meeting. So it's also this notion of being efficient. Something you're not here to be, if you need a meeting, there should be, you should have some output. Transparency, etc. Yes, I need to speed up. Finance, so that's really a big one. So same thing, open source principle about transparency. We tell our client, all the proposal we do for our clients, you know, service company. So basically we do some offer to our clients. They're all in the wiki, everyone can access to them. When we do proposal as well, everyone can review. So we help each other actually, because some people know some aspect better, etc. And we collaboratively review that. It's a bit harder with finance when it comes to salary. Like I say, salary raise, it's always, the thing is people should understand that salary raise or salaries are not something equal. There is no, open source is also a notion of justice. Well, salary is nothing, but there is no justice. It's just you at the right moment, the right time, etc. But we try as much as possible to be as open as possible. The problem with finance, for example, the big problem is it's another, you need to understand how accountability works. So same thing, we publish everything, but there is a wonder, so we try to educate people. But there's a lot of time where people do not understand exactly about finance. Commercial. So like I said, this commercial is something really strange in our company, since like I say, open source projects do not have a commercial guy. Well, they kind of have like people speaking about their project at conferences, but that's about it. They don't have people who say, hey, here, buy my open source project, etc. We work the same. We don't have any commercial people. We are really an open source, a bit the same idea. Rely on mouth to mouth. Oh, this is a really good open source project. You should use it. Same thing for us. Our company is based on that. It's our reputation, basically. So the same idea, plus transparency about proposal. Like I say, a proposal are really like a pull request that everyone, well, people who want to review and help you to improve it. That's the same idea. So it's again like being open and say, look, we propose that, etc. With all the how much it costs, etc. So that's a big one. A lot of my clients were at the start adopting about open source and the fact to be compliant. And that's really strange, because since we're transparent, since we can audit every step, we're actually way more compliant than a lot of companies. So we in the automotive, we TISAX compliant, really soon ISO 27001, because we force ourselves to document really well and to be able to do an audit of the company, basically. Same thing with data protection, etc. We actually, since we're all developers, we try to be efficient. Everything is correctly documented, and we can audit everything. We don't we allow people to do whatever they want, but we control, basically, which is a different. Most big company will forbid you to do things. No, it's dangerous, etc. Us, we have the other approach where we try to audit as much as possible, which means that you're also responsible. Same thing on any open source project. So that's something where we did. Basically, what we did is we put 3 people, and they're in charge of making sure that there is no abuse. Basically, is that, and really important for these licenses, open source license, etc. We use on our project. And I will be. So basically, what I described just here works really well when you have a small structure till 100 people. It also only works if you hire the right people. That's really one of the big things. Where also we have no intention to grow more than 120 or something like that, because at least per business unit, it cannot really scale. It's relying on everyone participating and contributing, like any open source project. Quite frankly, I don't know any open source project who has more than 10 to 12 core contributors. After, yeah, you have a lot of pull requests for everyone, but to make the project work, you need a small group. That's a bit the same idea. Like I say, it doesn't work if you're factory mentality. If you just go to work to pay your bills, we're not the right company, and you cannot structure really that. But same thing with open source project. You don't contribute because you're forced to. It's based on the voluntary thing of people, because you're usually passionate about what you do. That's a nice thing about developers as well. We tend to be passionate about what we do. There's a lot of other professions where you're not passionate, you just go to work to pay your bill. And this is not really our case. We're in a luxury position where everyone wants to be a developer, etc. What is really hard also, and this is what, so maintaining all this accessibility, onboarding, be transparent, is in fact a lot of work. You need to maintain all these things, to create awareness all the time, etc. It's really, and to be available when there is a question. That's why we use Slack or any messaging application. That's what it's harder, and you need to really structure yourself to maintain things. Like any open source project, you can see that if the project, there was no commit for 3 months, you say, oh, it's dead, there is nothing happening, so you're not also inclined to contribute. So the same idea, really. That's, I think, where, and it's hard to hire the people with the right mindset as well. And I'm just on time. I have 2 minutes for a question, but I don't wonder if we can do questions because you cannot talk or I cannot hear. So that's, anyway, I will be around if you have any question. I hope you like the talk. It's a bit strange to talk about it because they asked me to talk about how we do things in LeanTech and how it relates to open source, a bit unnatural. And I hope that now you can understand any French person anytime, at any time. Thank you very much.